We will call our meeting to order tonight. Renata, roll call, please.
Miller.
Here.
English.
Here.
Evans. Ettinger.
Here.
McEvers.
Here.
Gookin.
Here.
If we would rise for the invocation, we have Ron Hunter from the Church of the Nazarene here tonight.
Holy Father, what a privilege to enjoy spring. Thank you for this season, and thank you for the beauty of the place we live in. I want to lift this council to you tonight and thank you for them and their service, and I would ask your blessing upon them now as you guide them in their decision making, and then I would ask that you would bless their lives as only you can. And bless the people of this community that we all may live well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I have to follow that?
You do.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we do not have any amendments to the agenda tonight, so we move into the presentations. So we do have something for National Communicators Week. And is Kenny here? Or Jim Washko? Jim Washko was going to accept this, but I'm going to read it, and whoever comes back, I'll give it to him. So it says, whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require law enforcement, fire, or emergency medical services, and whereas the safety of our law enforcement officers and firefighter personnel is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Kootenai County 911 Center, and whereas emergency communication officers are the single vital link for our law enforcement officers and firefighter personnel by monitoring the activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas each emergency communications officer has exhibited compassion, understanding, professionalism, and displayed tireless efforts during their assigned shifts in the past year. Therefore, I, Steve Widmeyer, Mayor of the City of Coeur d'Alene, do hereby proclaim April 8th through April 14th, 2018 to be National Telecommunicators Week. So there we have it. We have no one to accept it, so we'll move on to the next one. Now we have a proclamation of the Fair Housing Month. Do we have someone here to accept that one? We have Allie. You get to hear me read another proclamation, so thank you for being here. Whereas on April 11th, 1968, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act of 1968. The 1968 Act clarified the prohibition of discrimination regarding the sale, rental, and financing of housing based on race, religion, national origin, sex, and is later amended disability and family status. And whereas this month is deemed Fair Housing Month and should be a celebration of laws and efforts of citizens to remove impediments to equal housing opportunities and to emphasize and ensure the rights of all citizens in an effort to provide housing choice. And whereas the City of Coeur d'Alene supports the ongoing efforts of the many organizations, housing, and service providers through continued education and outreach to affirmatively further fair housing. Now, therefore, I, Steve Widmeyer, Mayor of the City of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, do hereby proclaim April 2018 as Fair Housing Month. So I'll give this to Allie, too. Right. And the final one is a proclamation of National Service Recognition Day. Ariel and your others can come up with you too.
These are my vistas, Gary and Sheila.
Gary and Sheila. Maybe if you would, just explain a little bit about your organization and what you do before I get started on this.
Sure thing. We are AmeriCorps Vistas in North Idaho. Our project, Better Futures for Idaho Youth, helps hundreds of North Idaho children across the area. In the last year alone, we've raised about $80,000 in-kind and cash donations, and our volunteers have contributed over 1,000 hours of service to their community.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, and I now will read this proclamation. Whereas service to others is a hallmark of American character and central to how we meet our challenges, and whereas national service expands economic opportunity by creating more sustainable, resilient communities and providing education, career skills, and leadership abilities for those who serve, and whereas national service represents a unique public-private partnership that invests in community solutions and leverages non-federal resources to strengthen community impact and increase the return on taxpayer dollars. And whereas the Corporation of National and Community Service shares a priority with local leaders nationwide to engage citizens, improve lives, and strengthen communities, and is joining with the National League of Cities, the National Association of Counties, Cities of Service, and the local leaders across the country for National Service Recognition Day today, April 3rd, 2018. Now, therefore, I, Steve Widmeyer, Mayor of the City of Coeur d'Alene, do hereby proclaim April 3rd, 2018 as National Service Recognition Day. So thank you very much for your service. Now we will move on to the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to move to approve the consent calendar as presented, including Resolution 18-018 and Resolution 18-019.
Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please, Renata.
English,
Yes.
Ettinger,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
McEvers,
Yes.
Gookin.
Affirmative.
Motion carried. Now is the time for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the council shall have 3 minutes to do so. Come on up. State your name for the record, please.
205 Park Drive. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council and City staff, thank you for your service. So many things are going on, I realize, and you all are doing so well, juggling the many challenges and opportunities we have in Coeur d'Alene right now. The last year I've been serving as the president of the Merit Office Park Association in Riverstone. It's a small business park, mostly medical, dental, professional services. And in our last annual meeting, which we just had a week or two ago, most of the property owners are very concerned about access into and out of Riverstone. And I know you've seen and with the history and the development of Riverstone and been aware of that. But right now, as it stands, and you've probably all been driven in it and been stuck in the lights, but as you turn from Northwest Boulevard to Lakewood, turning left into the Riverstone development, it backs up really, really bad. There's no other access into Riverstone except Lakewood Drive and Celtice on the other side. So I know there's a lot of potential development going on in Bella Reeve, and I just want to bring to your radar, if it hasn't been yet, maybe La Crosse can get pushed through down to Bella Reeve somehow, something. We need some other access, especially as more homes get built along there. So something to consider. And yeah, appreciate all the work you're doing. Thank you very much.
Just wanted to let you know that our engineering department is working on that right now and is working on some solutions there. Troy, we had just been talking about and just had a meeting with Tim Martin and his crew last week in regards to that. And Troy, they're in the process of studying that whole situation.
Correct, yes, your timing is excellent. We've got that under review, looking at options and what makes the most sense and how long it would take to get it done.
Well, yeah, even like I thought the change to the roundabouts down in like Mill River and stuff, I think, oh, maybe they should have put a roundabout there on Lakewood and Saltese, I don't know, but yeah, extra access and that. Thanks, I'll look forward to watching what you guys do and helping out any way we can.
All right, thanks for coming tonight. Anyone else wishing to give public comment?
I may be out of line, but I just heard about this, so I figured I'd better bring it up. Larry Shamura, I live in Coeur d'Alene at 2990 Nettleton Gulch, and I own a piece of property at 1602 Coeur d'Alene Street. And from what I gather from my tenant there, he said the last week or so, they moved in a bunch of people in there. He doesn't know much about it other than that every night almost the police are there. People are causing, not a riot, but a lot of problems on that corner. So I just wondered if you're aware of it and if something might be done to stop the officers from having to come out every night and quell the problems.
So this is something that's happened within what time period? Just within the last week, or?
Last week or two, he said.
Okay.
And I didn't know, he told me that there was some meeting tonight, so I showed up. I don't know if I'm in the right place at the right time.
You're always in the right place when you come here.
That's not what everybody else tells me.
Don't listen to them.
So,
So you're saying 1602 Coeur d'Alene is what?
yeah, across the street from 1602.
Okay,
Coeur d'Alene and 16th. There's a lot of police action there in the
we'll
evening.
see what's going on
Is
there.
that a house or an apartment?
It's a house that was up for sale, and then I understand that they moved in some kind of transient people or something in there, and they're causing troubles.
We'll check it out.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming tonight. Good
Good
evening.
evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Buzz Schott. I'm with Charter Communications. We operate Spectrum Cable TV.
Oh, cool.
And first of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing the C-SPAN bus out here yesterday. I know it was a last-minute deal. We were going to go to the high school, and that didn't work out, so we appreciate you allowing that to be here and joining us, those who could. Couple issues I'd just like to update you on. One is the Northwest blackout of Fox TV. We continue to try and resolve that issue. We know there's a lot of misleading information out there, and that we legally cannot show without a contract, show that channel. So we're working to resolve it. We understand that it's very frustrating for you and for our customers. So we hopefully will resolve that, and we'll keep you apprised of what's going on. And on a good note, we, in probably June timeframe, but early summer, we'll be going to all digital here in Idaho, throughout Idaho. What we'll do is we'll change over the system on a case-by-case basis, or a hub-by-hub basis, excuse me. So it'll be a transition over about a month in this area. Once we know the exact cut dates, we will send out letters to you, to notify you, and to all of our customers. Everyone will have to get a set-top box, so we'll have stores available and locations available for that, and it should take less than a month to do that transition, but it'll give you better quality, more HD channels, and we'll be able to be more responsive to our customers. So just wanted to keep you apprised of what's going on. So
All right.
thank you very much.
You have a question here?
Buzz, I got just a couple questions. So we're going digital, so that means Channel 19 goes away.
It doesn't go away. There will be some relocations of channels, so we'll, as we realign that, we'll know that in the next probably 2 weeks what that is, and so we'll notify the city, and then at least 30 days in advance, we'll notify all the customers what it is.
So Channel 19 will be there, or it will be somewhere else?
It will probably be somewhere else, and I stopped by today, and we had a discussion on some of the concerns and things that we need to do. So we're going to do some checking on the HD quality and the fiber quality into the building, and find out exactly what we can do to make sure that you get the best service out of that.
So on the creation side, what's going out is as good as it can be.
Correct.
Let me ask you on the boxes. So we're getting new boxes for our TVs. So the old boxes go in and new ones come in, and then the channels are different numbers from.
Some will be different numbers, some will be the same. So that hasn't been set up. As we add, we'll be adding some HD channels. And so, and we'll try and what we've done in the past is try and realign so that news channels are together and sports channels are together. So it's once you learn where things are, it's a lot easier to find each channel.
So do the boxes cost any money?
You know, I was just asked that, and I don't know the answer. I know that I believe there's a small charge for the boxes, but what I'll do is I'll find out for sure, and I'll get that back to you right away.
So you're changing and it's going to cost us money, the consumer side.
There may be a small increase in fee, but the quality and the service will be much better, so it'll be worth it.
Okay, and so I get a new box, I spend some more money now. What about my package? What about all the channels I've already paid for? Do I get more for the money, or do I get less?
You'll get more for the money, and we won't be taking any of those packages. Anything that you have, we won't be taking any of that away, but we will be adding some channels to the packages.
And a new cost for the box?
And a cost for the box, correct.
Okay. One other question was, we have a bunch of equipment here in the city that it used to be involved in our franchise agreement, which has kind of gone away. So do we have to start paying for the equipment that we use to get the channel to you guys?
No. There won't be any additional costs to the city to provide the PEG channel and other information. The one thing I talked to Jeff about today is whether we could go to full HD broadcasts for the city. That's something I don't have the answer to, and there could be some charges to upgrade the system to make that possible, but I will get that all checked out, and once we do a survey of what the fiber is into the city, we'll have a better sense of that.
Okay. Now, are you going to Post Falls to tell them the same thing for their channel?
Yes.
Okay. One other thing, there was a fellow named Dell.
Mm-hmm.
That's who?
Dell Heinz.
Yeah. You took his place?
I took his place, yeah. So Dell's been relocated to Riverside and Palm Springs area, and I now have Idaho.
From San Diego?
I'm based in San Diego,
Okay.
yes.
So that's where our feed comes from?
Yeah, Jeff asked me that today, and I'm not sure exactly where it is fed from, but I told him that I would find that out and get it. I'm not on the technical side, so
Gotcha.
I will get those answers.
And one other thing, Dell told us that he had a bunch of used equipment that he was going to send us so we could use it, cameras and boxes, because we're still somewhat old school up here.
Okay.
And trying to get the kids in. So if you could take a look around and see
Sure.
if there's a bunch of stuff you want to get rid of, we
Definitely.
could probably make
Definitely.
it
In
work.
fact, we just closed a studio in Palm Desert where Dell is located, so I'll call Dell
That'd be
tomorrow
great.
and tell him he needs to ship it up right away.
We'd appreciate it.
Okay?
Stuff. Thanks.
How are you going to let the subscribers know about all these changes?
We will send a letter at least 30 days in advance to every subscriber, and we're already talking to some of the larger subscribers like hotels and the big customers to make sure that if there's any issues on making the changeover, that we're ahead of the game, so that once we make that cut, everybody will get the service. So, and if any of them have not we have not been able to contact them, then we send people out to the businesses to make sure that we make those contacts. The residences, though, will get a letter saying, this is the situation. And if we can't get a hold of them, then we'll do the same thing. If it's rental property or something like that, then we will make sure that we make contact.
Okay, thank
Because
you.
we'll know anybody that doesn't pick up a box or doesn't make arrangements in advance, so we'll be tracking all of that information.
Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Buzz, will you also be improving the quality of the internet connection? So right now you do 120 gigs max. Are you going to go higher than that?
Yes, we are. I'm not sure the timing for here, but we're right now going through a transition to 1 gig service for residents. So by the end of 2018, it's our goal to have all 41 states that we serve and every customer have the ability to have 1 gig service. So
Nice.
right now, Hawaii happened to be the first that was done probably, I think, 2 months ago.
That's weird.
Yeah, I know. I think it was just a issue that we were doing a transition to to all digital there, so it was just easier to have everybody go over there and do that all at the same time. But we definitely will be going to 1 gig, and I'll get the schedule, because it should be, we'll at least know within what time frame. It might not be the exact date, but
Thank you.
I'll get that back to you.
Well, as long as we're going down the line, just for people's sake to understand, when you say about adding a box, I mean, is this going to be literally another box and set of wires it's got to plug into our existing box, or will it replace?
No, we'll take the old box from you and
Okay.
give you a new one.
Okay.
Go ahead, Woody.
One final question. So I haven't had Fox in over a month, so will that be taken off my bill?
We've had that question, and I don't have an answer for you in that it's actually being discussed right now. We did not expect this to last this long. We thought it was more of a negotiating play for the Super Bowl, and because we have some areas that NBC and CBS are also affected. So we really did not expect to have this not be resolved in this longer period of time. So we are getting an answer on that, probably, I would hope, in the next couple weeks, and I'll notify you directly with that information.
Go right ahead, Kiki.
You didn't know you were going to be on the hot seat, did you?
Kind of
I just
expected
wanted
it.
to say thank you and Spectrum for making it possible for that C-SPAN bus to be here. I had the opportunity to visit that and talk to the interns there and discuss what they were doing and the whole 50-state tour project, and they did a fabulous job, so
They're pretty
thank you for
passionate
doing
about
that.
it, aren't they? Yeah, it's good.
Woody, is there any particular show on Fox you're missing right now?
Like
or-
I'm missing them all.
every one
I
of
just go right by it now.
Hulu.
Do you do that with all the channels? Is everything a negotiated deal?
Yes. Well, almost
you guys
almost
wanna have
everything, and it's
coffee
different
later?
broadcasters for different channels. And
Seems like
and we
Fox-
don't have a choice. That's
Yeah.
they have the
Fox
the
just
right.
seems to keep poking you guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any more public comment? Or did Woody wear everybody out?
Sorry.
No.
It's my passion.
Announcements. Is there any member of the council that has an announcement? Kiki?
I have a couple things. One is, I hope you all saw the paper today on the Atlas Waterfront Project meeting. There is more detailed information on the city website about that, and please mark your calendars for April 25th, 26th for the next public input and council and Ignite workshops on that. All of the results that were accumulated at that public input meeting are on the website, so everybody on council and out there can be fully informed on that. Another couple things I just wanted council to know of that I think are interesting, and it's been a long time coming, is a digitization project at the library. So converting from microfilm, microfiche to actual digitized historical documents. So you'll be able to type something in, search for information just that quickly, and it's been a long time coming, so they're doing it by a few decades at a time, and that will be starting real quickly. And another thing I think is interesting and neat is the Lake City Public Library started a chess club that's open to all ages, so that's kind of neat that library services are up there in that end of town. And that's all I have.
All right. Anyone else?
See, staff is really eager to join the chess club.
I was in chess club in high school.
Really?
Yeah. Cool.
Now, so you could have walked to the Lake
I
City
could
Public
have, yeah.
Library.
All right. Anyone have anything else? So we'll move on to the General Services Committee. We have resolution number 18-020, adoption of Veteran Centennial Park Master Plan as an addendum to the Parks and Recreation Master Plan and the city's comprehensive plan. And who would like to, Mike Kempton would like to give that presentation tonight. Welcome.
Good evening, Council. Hi, I'm the liaison for the Natural Open Space Committee, and they were tasked some time ago with developing a master plan for this site that the city has owned for some years. This property was donated to the city of Coeur d'Alene by M. Van Locken, and she had a couple stipulations in the donation deed, and part of our mission was to reconcile the two seemingly conflicting statements and come up with a plan that kind of embraced both of them. She wanted to encourage the development of a park and recreation area for the benefit of the citizens of Coeur d'Alene and devote the land exclusively for the use and benefit of the public. She also stipulated that this park shall be retained in as natural of a condition as possible. So this is a general map that shows where the property is located. It is on the Fernand Bench off of Fernand Hill Road. As this map shows, you can see it is the only publicly owned dedicated parkland east of 15th Street and south of Hazel in the city. And it's the only open space on the entire Fernand Bench. This is kind of a aerial view of it, and it shows the easement that was dedicated as part of this property to give the city access off of Fernand Hill Road. There is also a secondary access off the end of Balcony Drive, and it clearly shows the property is basically divided in half between a wooded section that is a slope towards French Gulch Road and a open field area that was cleared some time ago and is still mostly open. So this was the master plan that was first proposed by the Natural Open Space Committee. One of our members, Michael Walker, is a licensed landscape architect, and he did this pro bono for the city. As part of his duties as a committee member, and I'd like to thank him personally for that. But we presented this to the public some time ago, back last June, I believe it was, and we got a lot of public feedback. So we went back to the drawing board and revised the plan, basically simplified it to make it much more natural. We took out some of the more active elements, reduced the size of the parking lot, reduced the extent of the trail system, and moved some of the amenities further away from private property owners. We received more feedback on this proposal last February, and we revised it again. So we reduced the parking lot to the smallest extent possible that will still support use by fire trucks or school buses. And we concentrated all the amenities right next to the parking lot and kept them all away from the private property owners. This property, or this site, has had an extensive history of having a managed plan vetted. It started with the Parks and Recreation Master Plan back in 2008, and that stipulated that this site needed a master plan because it had sat vacant for many years. And that was supported by the comprehensive plan, which basically said that they would support development, acquisition, and maintenance of property and facilities, and would encourage recreation facilities for citizens that would include hiking, open space, and passive parks. So the Natural Open Space Management Plan was developed to properly manage our sites, and it talked about the existing site access, and it went on to make recommendations. And the key recommendations were to build an entrance road to the park, construct a public parking area to keep people from driving all over the property, and build a pathway system so people could access the park. Under the existing facilities, which there basically were none, it had recommendations that included having a veterans plaza, because all of Emma's brothers were veterans and she expressed a desire to honor them. A gazebo we could use for people to have picnics or gatherings, and a restroom shelter. It's important to have those facilities up there. So we brought the master plan to the Parks and Rec Commission meeting last June, and that's where we received a lot of public input. So we hosted a workshop on November 20th of last year. The revised plan was presented to the Parks and Rec Commission on February 19th. The modified plan was presented again and approved for them, or recommended by them, on March 19th. And then General Services vetted the plan last week. We had a lot of questions about how we're managing the woods, and most of that is covered in the Natural Resource Management Plan for the property. But our fire department, in cooperation with our urban forestry section, the Parks Department, inspected that site regularly, and the recommendations they've made include reducing the shrubs and woody materials adjacent to private residences, thin and remove small trees and maintain spacing, prune up lower branches in select areas, and recommend owners of nearby properties maintain defensible space. These are the same issues we have at Tubbs Hill and at the Fernand Lake open area. So we solicited some input from the family, from the descendants of Emma Van Locken, and we received a letter from her nephew, who now lives in South America. Notice the Spanish in there. And he replied that he liked the minimalist nature of the plan, and he thought it would please his aunt very much, and said we had fulfilled my aunt's wishes. Quickly, I want to review the changes that were made on the master plan based on citizen input. We had a perimeter trail. We moved the east side of this trail 30 feet further from property private lines. There was a reference to a rain garden or a wetland area that was removed because we found out that that did not actually exist on the site. We thought we had a natural spring, but it turned out it was runoff from one of the nearby residences. Secondary pathways were eliminated just to simplify the design. The amphitheater was changed to a small gathering area and was moved further away from the property boundary so it would not interfere with the privacy of the property owners. The footprint of the parking lot was reduced, and the Parks Department is committed to using gravel if possible because this property will fall under Kootenai County building codes. It's actually not annexed into the city at this time. We had some more extensive landscaping that we removed to preserve the view shed. There's a nice view of Rafton Mountain from some of the property owners on the east side of the property. And the overall number of trees planted was reduced also to keep the view shed open. And we eliminated a paved bike trail along the entrance road because that was redundant. The entrance road would serve that purpose and it would eliminate some runoff concerns. So that's basically where we are with this, and we're asking you to go ahead and approve this as an amendment to the Parks and Rec Master Plan.
Thank you, Mike. Questions? Kiki.
I just have a couple comments. That was a nice presentation, thank you. Another is I really appreciated following this, and I live up Fernand Hill Road, further past there. But I really appreciated staff's, all of them, all departments, listening to the folks up there and making those changes. I've heard really great comments from people who live up there that they were pleasantly surprised at how staff worked with them to come to compromises on this project. So thank you for that. The one thing that I'm not sure how to tie this into it other than comment is that there's been a lot said about this being a park that's very close to the east side, the closest one from 15th Street over. But on a map, it's a little bit deceiving how steep and narrow that bench road to get up there is. So I hope that somehow tagged on to the master planning and the comp plan, there's some addressing of what's going to happen on that road when park development happens. It's not exactly like you could take your kids on bicycles up there. So that was my only comment. I think it's fabulous that this had gotten done with public input and that there's some plan in place for the future.
Thank you. This should be a very low-impact park. We don't anticipate a great increase in traffic up there, and we have talked to street department about the level of service of this road. We know it's narrow and could use widening, but that's kind of outside of the scope of a master plan for a park.
Yep.
Other questions? Woody?
Mike, nice presentation. So is there any budget, are we at the money point yet, or is that coming down the road?
No, eventually we'll ask you guys for money, but basically we have a master plan in place, so if we ever had grant opportunities or money did become available, we'd have a plan to follow to create this into a public place. Right now, this would sit at one of the lower priorities in the Parks Department. There are a lot of things going on, and I wouldn't anticipate development for at least a couple of years at the earliest.
Thanks.
Any other questions? If not, we'd be looking for council action.
Mr. Mayor, I move for adoption of resolution 18-020.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Ettinger?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yep.
English?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.
Now we'll move on to resolution number 18-021. This is an approval of a lease agreement with Neil and Anna Lunt, doing business as Brooks Seaplane Service LLC for Bay 5 on the commercial dock. Bill.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I was contacted by Grant Brooks a little over a year ago. It said he'd like to spend more time with his grandchildren and was looking for someone to purchase his seaplane business that's been there for 30-plus years. So he found a buyer, and the buyer would like to have a lease. It helps him gain the note he needs to purchase that, and we're here for your approval of this new lease with the Neil Lunt is his gentleman's name. He wants to keep the name the same. He wants to keep everything that Grant's done the same. He doesn't see any reason to make any changes. He just wants to pick up the business and keep giving that to the public as an opportunity for them when they visit us.
I was surprised that they said only 30 years. It seems like Brooks Seaplane has been around.
Maybe it was longer than that.
Yeah.
30-plus, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's been doing it alone since his father passed a few years back, and so he's just said to me that he'd like to spend more time with the family and his grandkids.
Questions for Bill?
Well, I would just say, I think I can remember when I was about 10, and if I'm 60-something now, that you can do the math. But so it sounds like it's not.
Well, you're just that young.
Was it an ornithopter back then?
No, but anyway, so it's not really a new lease. I mean, it's a new owner on an old lease, and I realize new.
So the lease language is the same
Same.
as the previous lease. The difference in this one is that it's a 5-year term as opposed to a 3-year renewable, so it's a 5-year renewable. And that's the real change within it and the ownership of the lease. But the language within the lease is identical.
And do the rates, I forget, do they stay the same each year, or does it go up a little each of the years?
They go up every year, it's CPI, and that's all illustrated within the lease as well.
Okay.
And I had Mr. Lunt review this, and he's fine with the new lease agreement.
Any other questions for Bill? Kiki, did you have something?
So is this lease for the particular business renewable by their request, or is it a mutual? What's the renewable terms on that?
Just like happened before with Grant, was that he just has to submit. We can review that ourselves as well. But over the years with Grant, as you saw those come forward, it was just, he would write a letter that he wanted to renew and that was renewable. So if you're concerned about where we may have some issue with him, we have I think some leverage within that lease for that. So I think we have some protection.
That's good too, and I also just wonder how those, I mean, it's pretty prime real estate down there, so I just look at the language of how do those ever become available for anyone besides the particular renewable party. So it looks like it's a 5-year, a 2-year onto the 3-year extension, and that's the main difference, and they can renew it for as long as they want.
Right.
Any other questions for Bill Wood?
Right along those lines, Bill. So it's normally a 3-year.
That's correct.
And we're giving him 2 more because he's a new guy and his bank needs it to make the payments. Is that kind of the issue?
Part of it was that if his lender needed a longer term for them to feel comfortable, and they were comfortable with a 5-year term. And so that's why we went with that number, a 5-year renewable.
So would that apply to anybody else doing stuff like that?
If they wanted to renegotiate their lease, we could certainly talk about that. But we have not had that conversation with anybody. Previously, they've always been the 3-year terms. So this was a new area for us to go into. I spoke with Troy and legal about it, and we felt comfortable helping Mr. Lunt along with this new, a longer lease than we've had previously.
So kind of along the same idea as Kiki. So if the guy with the parachute boat did that, he sold it to somebody, that somebody could come forward and say, I got 3 years, but I need 5 to make the payments, and I got to buy a new boat. Is that kind of how you look at it?
We could consider that. I'm not going to say that we would allow it, but we'd certainly look at that and be agreeable to that discussion.
Okay. Just like she said.
It's just negotiation, so it depends on what their particular needs are and what we believe we can do for them.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions for Bill?
Move for the adoption of Resolution 18-021.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
McEvers?
Yes.
Kukin?
Aye.
English?
Yes.
Ettinger?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Motion carried. We'll move on to other business. This is pursuant to council action on January 17th of 2017. It's resolution number 18-022, annexation agreement with Cannon Ground Development, LLC.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 18022, which is an annexation agreement with Cannon Ground Development, LLC.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Woody?
So this is over a year ago. I find it fascinating. I remember us talking about this. To me, this is a big deal. Another piece of the county comes into the city right next to the shooting range and neighborhoods and the last push to the west. So the Hearn Company, the Hearn family's been there forever, and I have some fond memories of that old dirt lot back there and all the funky little businesses that are back there, and I hope they can hang in there.
Anyone have anything else? Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Kukin,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Ettinger,
Yep.
Miller,
Yes.
McEvers.
Yes.
Motion carried. Now we have,
Move to dispense with the rule and read Council Bill 18-1005 once by title only. This is the ordinance to enact the item we just passed.
Second.
motion and a second to dispense with the rules. Any further discussion? Renata, if you would read the title, please.
Council Bill Number 18-1005, an ordinance annexing to and declaring to be a part of the City of Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai County, Idaho, specifically described portions of the northeast quarter of Section 33, Township 51 North, Range 4 West, Boise Meridian, zoning such specifically described property hereby annexed as C-17, repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, providing for the publication of a summary of this ordinance and an effective date hereof.
Roll call, please.
English?
Yes.
Ettinger?
Yep.
Miller?
Yes.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to adopt Council Bill 18-1005.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
English?
Yes.
Ettinger?
Yep.
Miller?
Yes.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yes.
Motion carried. And finally, we have the parking garage access and management equipment bid update. Tim Martin is here tonight.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Tonight, I'm here in front of you because staff is requesting that we reject the sole bid for the parking garage access and management equipment. As you know, we're building the parking garage here just north of us on Coeur d'Alene Avenue between 3rd and 4th. We went out to bid design and supply as well as install all this equipment. We received one bid, and looking at that bid, the team felt that there was way too much put into this bid. And as we started negotiating and talking with them, they would not enter into any talks or take anything out of their bid without a contract. And we feel that this bid amount is too excessive, and therefore the team feels that we've got better leverage if we start this again. We've got a pretty clear vision on the design. It's not going to slow down the construction of this, and we'd like to be able to move forward, and we feel that by doing this, we can get into a less costly resolution. So with that, I'd like to recommend that we reject this bid.
Questions? Dan?
Well, just, it sounds like for the pricing, I mean, it's probably an obvious choice, but is there reason to believe there are more vendors out there for this then?
Yes, there is. We know that there were other vendors that did not make the bid time. They did not hit the thing, and we're talking with electricians in town. We're looking, the team with our police department, our IT department, we now know where everything needs to go. And we're just, we're moving forward again. It's not going to slow this process down. We just looked at this and just was too costly.
Woody?
So going through this was insane. This was crazy. When we did McEwen, we didn't go through all this for controlling the parking, did we?
Well, it's a little bit different in which we've got to make sure that we have all the electrical loops and where the conduits go, and the cameras, security cameras, and we put this all out in one big package, and I think they gave us too much information in a big price tag. So we wanted to back this down and look at it, and brought our IT in and our PD in, and, you know, we're starting to get ready to pour the, you know, the first floor, and we need to get the conduits in the ground so we, you know, have the loops, you know, the signal loops. Well, we have parking loops that we need to get in the ground, and where those conduits go and things like that.
I also saw something in the tech side that there's a server on board. There's a room with a server in it. What technology is that?
It's probably above me. I'm
Really?
not quite
Okay.
sure. I know that we've got fiber coming into that room, and, you know, potentially we could have sponsors in there. We could have things like that.
I believe it's associated with the cameras, with the server room. Yeah.
I guess I thought we did everything afterwards here at McEwen, so I guess we
Don't wanna
learned from
do
it,
that
huh?
again.
Any other questions for Tim? If not, we'd be looking for council action.
I would make a motion to reject the sole bid for the parking, garage access, and management equipment.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Tim.
it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
No one's opposed. Motion carried.